Hey everybody, what's going on? Dace here. Today we are going over my Samurai Aces 1cc on normal mode on the Nintendo Switch. Interestingly enough, this was a pretty wild experience, to be honest. I casually played a bit here and there each day for about 10 or 11 days. And just due to the nature of the game, just the way it's set up, like there's no save states, there's no practice mode, any of that kind of stuff. And with the randomized levels too, initially this felt very, very difficult to get a grasp on, because like you'll start with, let's say, the water level, and then you're going up against stage 2 boss, stage 3 boss, and even if you've perfected those when they're in the first stage kind of experience, it's going to be very different because then they suddenly have new attacks and stuff. And so I found it very difficult to practice efficiently, or in a way in which I do best when I practice, because I love to memorize like precise positions and all this kind of stuff, and I found that was just not the easiest to do, because like you're pretty much always having a different combination of bosses, and then the next run it would be the same thing, it's just switched up again. So in that sense, I feel like this took way longer than it would have had I just had a situation where I could use save states or whatever the case is. Anyway, that being said, I am aiming to do like a guide video for like some of the easier modes or something. And yeah, so that's more or less going to be, or this is more or less going to be just me sharing the experience. I did experiment with something differently this time too. I kind of saved runs here and there as I went along, because I think it would be neat to do some kind of journal experience where you can actually watch the progression, like the first run, the next day, blah blah blah, and just see how things gradually started improving. Because I think it was about maybe day 4 or 5 where I started to finally see little breakthroughs here and there when you would get to like stage 3 boss. Initially having no clue, like, oh, it just feels like chaos when I get here. No practical way to jump in and experiment and blah blah blah, because like the run is the run, so obviously you want to be focusing on playing well and not just like breaking down all these things because you don't have the time to set aside for that because of how the game is set up. So but gradually I did start piecing a few things together here and there, and that started to make a big difference. I started making it to stage 4 more consistently, and then from there the stage after that was always a really sloppy thing, but bit by bit little pieces filtered in. You just see how you can do bosses more efficiently, when to bomb during stages, when not to bomb, and that kind of stuff. So this run we're watching now, this was just last night. I'll probably throw this up today anyway, I'm not sure. But this was at the tail end of about an hour-long session, and it was getting to the point where it was just like, man, what is it going to take to like actually get somewhere in this game? Like, holy smokes. Because I think before this, I had only made it to the absolute final boss maybe 2-3 times tops. And usually you're going in with like almost nothing left to work with, like a life, maybe 2 bombs, if that. Or sometimes I would get there with nothing left. I would be down to my absolute last life and no bombs. And so it's like, okay, what are you going to do when you have no experience with the boss yet? And it's just a mess. So I wasn't even intending, like at this point in my mind, it wasn't like, oh, I know I'm getting so close, this is going to be the run. For me, it was just like, I'm just practicing. I'm just seeing how far I get. So I was actually delightfully surprised with how amazing this went. And I feel part of it really panned out because of something differently I did in this level. There's a section where these 2 big guys come down, and normally I just bomb right away in a specific position so that it catches both of them. But this time I was like, you know what, maybe I can take out one side first and then do the other side and save a bomb, and maybe that will... So right here, normally I just bomb, but this time I just decided not to. It didn't go as planned, but I still made it through without using a bomb. And I feel like that really was it may not seem like a big deal, but for me, I feel like that was a big deal. And it really helps when you can collect other bombs in the stages too, like leading up to this. That yellow boss is easy to deal with, but at the same time, it's still a very risky fight. So as much as I didn't really want to be using 2 bombs to deal with either the yellow or the red one when the red side shows up, I just said, you know what, I'm just doing it because this run's going really well, so we're just going to do that. And this was a level that was originally very, very messy, but you just learn a few tricks here and there as to how to deal with some of the enemies. Like right up here, I see some people go up to the top corner after destroying the pink guy, but you can just do it the way I did it, and that works fine too. So this became a stage that I could pretty much no miss every time, especially when you figure out how to deal with the final boss. I'd like to have a better way of dealing with all those pink ninjas, because I don't feel like you really need to use a bomb there, but I just did it because I don't want to risk anything right now. And when you're going up against these guys for the first time, that can be messy too. But yeah, like I said, you just learn a few things. Just always point blank as much as you can, but know when to back away too, of course. And you can just clean up super quickly before things get out of hand. And yeah, it's a blast of a game. I did experiment with one run on the hardest difficulty, and I made it pretty far, to be honest, so I don't think it would actually take much to work my way up the stages, especially now that I have a better understanding of how to be better prepared for the last stretch of the game. I think that's one of the most important things for me anyway. And learning about this safe spot and just this whole method for this boss is just a lifesaver. Otherwise, this whole battle would probably just be, yeah, a mess. But one thing I do love is the super short duration of this game. It's like 12 minutes or something. That's just ridiculous. This was another section where, again, I would learn, if I had save states, I would learn just the way to deal with that perfectly without bombing. But same with this, like pretty much every step of the way. This is the kind of stuff where I'm just, my mind is screaming to just perfect this game, because it's actually very simple, but without save states, like, it's just not efficient to, like, yeah, I'm not a fan of how it's set up, to be honest. I think they could have easily added something a little more to work with. But, like, yeah. These days, I'm not going to put the time into, yeah, something that's set up like this. Like I would for something like Visara 1 and 2, or anything else for that matter. Because, yeah, my sessions are usually pretty short. So this was like a really, really solid run. Taking my first hit right there, and we only have one stage left, I was thinking to myself, yeah, this is going super well. But at the same time, I wasn't, I didn't have any thoughts of, oh, this is going to be it. Like, this was kind of just seeing what happens, more or less. That was so silly. I always know how to deal with that. Like, it's simple. You just stay over. But for whatever reason, I was not paying attention and then used a bomb there that I didn't need to. Sometimes this can be a messy part, but it's actually pretty straightforward. But all in all, this game is so good. I just love the flow of the levels, the boss fights, just all the forms that these bosses have too. It's like never ending in ways. And it's really empowering when you just learn what to do and how to manage the boss's attacks and that kind of stuff. This is one I'm not sure how best to deal with it, to be honest. It's like I took another hit there. I think if I had more bombs, I probably would have just spammed. But for this run anyway, I was like, whatever. We have 1 life left. This guy is a breeze. That's no issue. It's just a matter of, can I actually take him out before I just fumble something really silly because I'm just so underpowered right now. And I don't think I actually do in this one. I think he transforms. Yeah, I think he transforms. Yeah. And this was me just taking a hit because I had no idea what this guy does. But that was it. Now there is a second loop. For me, it was the classic situation where you pretty much get toasted right away, like within the first few enemies or whatever, because you're not used to it. But I'm very, very intrigued to dig deeper into this game, to be honest. I would love to explore more of the second loop. But yeah, all in all, really enjoyed this run. I would just love for these games to have save states. So it's more or less going to be a matter of the way I will just have to learn it is just play more and more and more and more, and just have a more gradual session or like ongoing session, just to allow the information to filter in, even though it's not my preferred way. But yeah, anyway, thanks so much for checking this out, everybody, and stay tuned for the guide, because I'm sure there are a bunch of other people who want to clear this game, and I'll see what I can whip up. And anyway, yeah, take care, and we will see you next time.